Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to another traditional or best of three draft of Aetherdrift. And we've opened up one of the sweetest rares in the format, so we're just going to hop right into this bad boy. Scoop up a Sabsunin Luxa Embodied. I don't know pronunciations of Egyptian, my apologies, but this is a really powerful card here. 5 mana, 6/6 reach, trample, indestructible. And it can't attack or block unless it has an even number of counters on it. 0 is even though, so the play pattern is usually you slam this down, your opponent can't get any good attacks in because you've got a 6/6 indestructible blocker. You get to your next turn, you put a counter on it, immediately draw 2 cards, and use those cards to spit out some more blockers to hold them off the next turn. And from that point on, this just locks your opponent out of the game, being a gigantic, unkillable threat that also draws you a million cards throughout the game. So super powerful card and a great way to start the draft. And again, if you are wondering why we are doing best of 3 instead of ranked, I am still working on trying to get the win a round of best of 3 after losing the first game achievement. I'm a little bit of a completionist achievement hunter kind of player for the games that I really enjoy. And so when they put achievements on Magic Arena, I was like, oh, well, now I'm going to have to try to get all those. So that's what we're doing here today. For pick 2, we've got another really sweet pack. We have Terrarian World Tyrant. This thing's just big. It's just massive. It's a very self-explanatory card, but a 9/7 is basically always going to be the biggest creature on board by far. And if your opponent does not have a good 1-for-1 targeted removal spell that can kill a creature that large, this is going to end up ripping apart a ton of their creatures. At best, they might be able to trade like a 4/4 and a 3/1 into it or something. This can just really change the course of the game and shred through your opponent's board state if left unchecked by removal. There's also the Scurryfoot there. I think that's an incredible common, an exceptional common, but I am not going to take it over the Gigantic Beef. They're probably really, really close in actual power level. I wouldn't be surprised if Scurryfoot is like a tiny bit higher win rate on average, but I think that the Terrarian is a card that looks really fun and really powerful, and I haven't gotten to play with it a single time yet, so I'd really, really like to cast it here. And for pick 3, we have Stock Up. This card has been phenomenal. This is really, really nice card selection as your 3 mana draw 2, but it really helps you draw whatever you need to find. Since you're looking 5 cards deep, it really helps you find a land if you need it, a removal spell if you need it, or a creature if you need it. It's a really, really flexible way to make sure that you're finding exactly what you need in the future and digging 5 cards deeper towards the biggest bomb in your decks. This is another card that also gets better the higher power level your best card is, because even if we cast this and Sab is not in our top 5, we're 5 cards closer anyways because we put those other 5 cards on the bottom of our deck. So it's just always helping us get to our most powerful plays no matter what. So huge fan of the card. For pick 4, off of Stock Up, Tarian, and Sab, we are insanely likely to be green-blue here. We practically want to force it to the point where even though the best card in this pack is just like a Crash and Burn or Wreckage Wicker Folk, I would not be surprised if, because of how powerful our green and blue is here, we're supposed to just completely force the color and just try to cut people off of it, take like a trip up here, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I mean, our start is such a ridiculously powerful Simic start. I am not going to dance around any other colors, and I really am not a fan of splashing in this format. I think the fixing is quite mediocre. For pick 5, we now have Nimblethopterist and Howler's Heavy. These both play pretty well. Silken Strength actually did pretty decently in our last green-blue deck, so I wouldn't mind that either. I am on 2 non-creature spells already, 2 creature spells. The ratio tends to be pretty heavy towards creatures, right? You average like 17 creatures, 7 non-creatures, somewhere around that, so basically like 2.5 to 3 times as many creatures as non-creature spells. So since we've got a 50-50 split right now, I will grab another creature over another non-creature spell, especially because Silken Strength really isn't that insane. So I'll grab the Thopterist here. For pick 6, we've got a Gibberic Omnivore. This is a fine filler 2-drop. I don't mind that at all. I am going to take it over Thopterist. I think Thopterist is a better card in a vacuum. 4 mana for a 3/2 plus a 1/1 flyer. But mana curve is very important in every format, including this one. Even though games do go long and you do get into board stalls, that's only going to happen consistently if you actually curve out and have blockers. So we're going to go ahead and get the 2 mana 3/2 Gibberic Omnivore here, have something early on our mana curve, even if it's the weaker card than the Thopterist. Pick 7, huge fan of the rare dual lands in this format, but I'm also a very big fan of the Migrating Ketrodon. 6 mana, 6/6, reach, gain 4, just an incredible way to stop your opponent's damage, stop their attacks, and completely stabilize your board state. It's got cycling as well if you don't find the mana for it. I am not passing Ketrodon. The card is just wild. Pick 8. All right, Super Filler Pack. We'll take a Scrap Compactor. Again, as I've said before, there's a lot of games that can come to board stalls in this format, and because of that, there's going to be a lot of positions where we're both staring at each other, drawing a card every turn and waiting for somebody to draw something super impactful. So I find that you do really want to have a good chunk of removal in this format, because with the games going longer, people are drawing more cards. They're more likely to find the best card in their deck in each game. They're more likely to find those kind of threats that you just have to be able to blow up or you auto lose. So I really want to make sure I have a decent amount of removal, even if it's mediocre removal spells like Scrap Compactor. They just make me feel a lot safer in this format. For pack 2, pick 1. Venom Sac Lagak looks pretty fine here. Definitely want to make sure to fill out our 2 mana, 3 mana creatures on the mana curve. And Venom Sac Lagak's a nice one because it stays relevant in the late game by trading up into anything. There's a Sabotage Strategist as well. It's pretty cool. Definitely a much worse spot on the mana curve. Although I suppose it might be early enough in the draft that we can still toy around with this. Does slow our opponent down a lot. The exhaust ability is obviously quite strong. But that's just another really expensive thing to do. I think we're doing great on that. We have 2 excellent 5-drops, a great 6-drop. Here's a Possession Engine. I, again, wouldn't be surprised if Scurryfoot's actually a higher win rate on average, because the card's just such a nasty common. Yeah, I really like that the Scurryfoot also fills in 2 slots on the curve. Like, Possession Engine is going to be more impactful when we slam this down turn 5, probably, than when we slam down Scurryfoot turn 4. But Scurryfoot's also giving us stuff to do in the early game with our mana with that 1-drop slot, so it's a little more flexible. I think we're still just taking the removal spell on a stick. Okay, now I can start taking Scurryfoots, so I can stop arguing about taking Scurryfoots over bomb rares. Because that seems like a good thing. I guess, I mean, I was considering taking it over bomb rare and then a really solid uncommon. It's not a bomb rare, but yeah, now we can take it when we're just taking it over a solid uncommon. Well, that's what I just said I didn't want to do. They are both 4-drops. I don't know, I just have a lot more experience with Scurryfoot than Strategist. I've been pretty impressed by it. Whenever Strategist hits my opponent's board, I haven't been super impressed, but I think that's because mostly it's been in games where I've had, like I've been in black and I've had the bauble to just give it -2/-2, or I've been in like red and just had the lightning strike. It's probably actually pretty good against like the green decks. There's not a super efficient way to blow it up here. But I don't know, I'm still going Scurryfoot. I just love this card. Wait, how is it a moose? Oh, it's a mouse. Oh, I'm so sorry. Um, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. We're just gonna rub that right off. We're just gonna walk right by that one and move on to the next pick here. We're gonna grab another Migrating Ketrodon over Plowthrough. I mean, destroying a vehicle as a flexible piece of this removal does make it actually probably not the worst. I really don't like fight spells where your creature deals damage to another creature and that creature also deals damage to yours, because obviously that's like way worse with cards like Venom Sac Lagak than the one that's just your creature shoots something. But it is still fine. I don't know. I've got the triple Scrap Compactor. I'm gonna pass up on the Plowthrough here. Pick 6 now. We've got Dredger's Insights. This card's really nice in Golgari. You get a lot of incidental life gain with this thing. In green-blue, it's not doing anything super duper exciting, but it does pick up an artifact, creature, or land, so it's digging us 4 cards deeper for any of our bombs. which I would say Sab and Possession Engine are definitely bombs, but even Ketradon and Tarians are really scary late game plays, so I like this as a card draw spell in this deck. Format is slow enough for an Ether Siphon. I don't know that this is really going to be the deck for it. We want more cheap blockers, really, to get that going, but I feel like it is much more likely to be good than just a Glitch Ghost Surveyor or a Camera Launcher or something really filler. Worst case scenario, it's in the sideboard since we're in best of 3, and we can pull it in really slow matchups, and it'll help us a lot. Midnight Mauler, we can, at the very worst, just sideboard in if our opponent's really aggressive and we need that cheap defender. Pick 10, I'll take another Dredger's Insight. The more the merrier. These stack well together and they work well with the Pothole Mole as well. With double Dredger's Insight and 2 stock up, we're going to be annoyingly good at finding our bombs. All right, we've got a lot of card draw that digs 4 or 5 cards deep into our deck. Actually, with all of those, I don't know if I even want the Ether Siphons, because I've got double Insight, double stock up also taking up card draw slots in this deck. Yeah, I feel like Ether Siphon's probably a sideboard card for this deck. Pack 3, pick 1. I think we got a Slam Dunk and Run Over. We don't have a lot of exhaust abilities, weirdly, even though we are the green-blue exhaust archetype. This is the color pair where you're supposed to draft a bunch of exhaust stuff, but that's not what this deck is doing. We're just playing a bunch of good card draw spells to dig for really powerful late-game plays, and Ether Hive doesn't do any synergy with that. It specifically only works with exhaust stuff, so I'm just going to take the Run Over here and get a little more removal. Pack 3, pick 2. Transit Mage can pick up Possession Engine, which makes it really, really nice. It's basically a second copy of Possession Engine in this deck. Obviously, we won't ever be able to draw 2 copies of Possession Engine, but it means we'll draw it twice as often as we would without a Transit Mage in our deck. So we're definitely going to take that here. I'm sad to pass up on Tarian, because it's a really fun card that I haven't gotten to play with a ton, but I really like where Transit Mage fits on our mana curve, as well as, of course, again, being some redundancy for one of our strongest rares. Pick 3. This pack's pretty nonsense. I think I have a ton of non-creature stuff. I doubt I'm fitting a Silken Strength in here, so speculate on a Glitch Ghost Surveyor. Pick 4, there we go. There's another Run Over. I will be taking that over Keen Buccaneer, which I was impressed by in our blue-black deck. It didn't have any synergies in that deck, right? We were just a blue-black artifacts deck, but just a 2-3 Vigilance that makes itself a 3-4 Vigilance, draws a card and discards a card, was impressive. The 3-4 Vigilance stat line being very relevant, and of course the card selection being solid too. So I do like that card, but I don't think I can take it over really solid removal like Run Over. I will take a Pothole Mole over here because I don't consider Plow Through to be as good as Run Over. So yeah, we'll go Mole over the Plow Through here. Pick 6. There's all the Silken Strengths in the world. If we really wanted to play around with those. They're Walking Sarcophagus. This is like the most filler card in the universe in this deck. There is a Spatial Interference. I do like this. If you have a lot of exhaust abilities, you can activate exhaust abilities at instant speed, so that helps you hold up your counterspells a lot easier. This deck is almost all sorcery speed nonsense, though. I don't think a counterspell is going to fit very well in here. Ooh, pick 7, stock up. We are digging. Let's go. Stock up is a card that looks so mediocre because we're used to divinations, just 3 mana draw 2s, just being super bad, but 5 cards deep is so much. This is just great card selection. Pick 8. I think this is a perfectly fine deck for Defend the Rider. Hexproof Indestructible for 1 mana to protect a really important, really scary card. In this deck, that's going to be Possession Engine, or Tarian, or Sab, or some Ketradons at the top end. Here's a Buccaneer. Great way to block in the early game and also, again, dig towards our most powerful plays. And now I'm just taking some uncommons for collection purposes and vault progress. And we will move on to the deck building here. We got to cut a lot of cards. Scurryfoot's a 4-drop, as the exhaust ability is where it is really relevant. We do have to spend the 1 mana at some turn before turn 4 to use this as a 4 mana play, but that tends to be really easy to do. You could randomly just have, on turn 3, a Dredger's Insight plus a Stampeding Scurryfoot, or an Omnivore plus a Scurryfoot, anything like that, a 2-drop plus the Scurryfoot on turn 3. Or on turn 2, if I don't have any other 2 mana play, we can just play it then. Or if it's in the opening hand, we will never have anything else to do with our 1 mana than play that. I mean, technically I could roll out a Scrap Compactor, but can always run that out on turn 1, so I find the Scurryfoot's really easy to have on board by turn 4 the vast majority of the time. So I like to put it there on the curve and just think about the exhaust ability being the really relevant part of the card. I am on only 14 creatures. I'm going to be on a lower creature count here. We've got a Midnight Midnight Mangler kind of moving that count up to like 15 basically. 15 to 17 is the usual kind of deck here. Possession Engine also kind of works as a creature because you steal your opponent's best creature. You don't get to attack or block with that creature, but you can keep using it to crew the engine. So this is kind of like a 5 mana 5/5 that deals with an opposing threat until it dies because you can consistently crew it off of whatever you've stolen. So it's kind of like 16 creatures here. So I think I can afford to cut one. I don't like cutting Walking Sarcophagus because of the mana curve purposes, but I think it is by far the most mediocre card in this deck, followed by the Glitch Ghost Surveyor. I don't think either of these have any good synergy in this deck. We are really inconsistent at starting our engines. So whenever we top deck these late in the game, we're going to be at speed 1 the turn that we play them. Unless they're in our opening hand and we're curving out with them, we're not really going to be actually working on that max speed. Again, towards top decking them later and having them immediately active. And the Sarcophagus doesn't really do anything once it has max speed. If I top deck this later, it's like, oh, cool, 3/3, which that's just not a good top deck in the late game anyway, even if I've reached max speed. And the Surveyor is just going to draw 1 card. I kind of want to cut both of these. It's going to be a little low on the creature count, but I think this deck can probably afford it. So I'm going to do that. Then I have to cut 6 non-creature spells, which is a lot. Could just go all in on triple stock up as more flexible card draw. Not run 5 different card draw spells between triple stock up and double insight. Plus, again, with the longer games that can occur in this format, running multiple mill 3s and multiple mill 4s without like a bunch of graveyard recursion or anything super advantageous for doing so could be a little detrimental, because if we get into a really long game of Magic, we are definitely milling out quicker running these instead of just other non-card draw spells like removal spells or something. So I think I'm fine to cut the insights here with triple stock up in the deck and an Ether Siphon, although I might be cutting the Ether Siphon here and just siding it in depending on the game. Yeah, we have got so many great options that we definitely are going to be able to shift the deck around a little bit depending on the matchup. Like if our opponent's really aggressive, we can put another 2-drop back in here. Maybe we cut the bounce off and put it back in if they're really aggressive, and we just really need to slow them down, get that curve a little bit lower. If the I was gonna say if the game goes really long, we could put the insights in, but we wouldn't want to do that because we'd mill out more. But we could put the Ether Siphons in for sure if the game goes really long. Yeah, there's a lot to do here. I think we can cut Broken Wings and Trip Up. I think they just kill less things than Runovers and Possession Engine. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 removal spells in here. That feels pretty good. Those cuts. Do want to cut another non-land card because I basically never want to cycle Catchadons if I can afford not to. And also we have 6 mana removal spells as the biggest chunk of them. So yeah, I could like cut the bounce off and just bring it back when it looks really relevant, really important here. That looks fine to me. Move things around based on the matchup. Cut some of the more expensive removal for some of the cheaper interaction, like the bounce off. Maybe the Dredger's Insight for a little bit of incidental life gain as well could help. If we're just not going to make it to 6 mana consistently, but this can still blow up something for 3, so it really depends on the matchup be interesting to see and to try to think through what we should be moving around when. But this looks like a really solid starting point. It's a very high power level deck, multiple incredible rares as well as very powerful uncommons and the like. The triple stock up is going to be key to this deck, really, really digging for those powerful plays or whatever we need at the time, helping us find the removal, find the lands to make it to those big powerful plays. This looks like a sweet one, and I'm very excited to see how it does. So without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay. All right, here we are for game one. We are on the draw here, so I'm happy to see a little bit of a more defensive hand. Got that early Midnight Mangler to try to slow our opponent down. If we don't naturally top deck the land on turn 3, I can cycle a Ketrodon at that point, but I'd really rather not. So I'm happy that I did. Now we'll drop Midnight Mangler. Molt Tender from our opponent. Starts milling them a little bit so they can get that mana out of it. And there's a Pothole Mole for even more mill. Our opponent is on green-white. Green-white-blue mill a Sundial as well. It's probably in there to work with the Fang Druid Summoner, although it's just a really good rate up front. 2 mana, 3/3. It's nice and easy to cast as well. Okay. I do already have land 4, so I don't need to stock up to hit my land drop, so I'm going to Transit Mage here. Pick up that Possessed Engine. Generally speaking, we should try to Transit Mage as early as possible, any game where we have it in our hand. That way we are mitigating the chance of just top decking Possession Engine and not getting anything from Transit Mage's enter ability. Now that said, if I didn't hit my 4th land drop, it could have still been worth stocking up when I'm not under very much pressure on board to make sure that I can keep hitting all my lands on curve. But since I already know I've got my land for next turn, I can play the Transit Mage and then go stock up plus hold up like Defend the Rider here. Spike Shell Harrier to slow us down. Probably Bouncing Mangler, I imagine. Yep. I was going to say, they do have to consider the fact that I could have more than one target for Transit Mage here. Plus the Mangler's the better blocker, so there's that. Okay, so there's a Pothole Mole. That is another way to try to help make sure that we've got all the land drops. I'm cool with running that over the Mangler or the stock up here. And I'll still have Defend the Rider up. I will not have Defend the Rider up. It's better to run up the tap land here than hold up the trick. The issue is now a double block on Spike Shell Harrier. Could go pretty bad for me if they have a trick to blow up one of these. But it already kind of could have, right? Because even if I had the Defend the Rider up, well, I guess it depends on the trick, right? I was going to say, even if I had it up, if they buffed the Harrier, it would still survive and then kill one of my creatures, right? So I'd still lose my creature on my Defend the Rider, but if it was a trick to specifically, mitigate one of my creatures or destroy one of my creatures or bounce one of my creatures, then the Hexproof actually would have stopped it pretty well there. So, would have been nice. This only counters instants and sorceries, right? Yep. Cool. Can't crew the Possession Engine next turn, so I might have to play other cards. Oh, they also don't... Oh, they do have the blue up because of Molt Tender, so I can't cast an instant or sorcery right now. Without paying the additional 2, at least. I guess I could stock up. Does not look relevant enough right now. The board, I think, is too big. I mean, I could go like Midnight Mangler, run over, and Defend the Rider. So Midnight Mangler sets up a double block for the Spike Shell Harrier. And then the run over could kill the Flyer, right? Because if I run over targeting the Flyer, like, so what? They could counter the run over by sacrificing it. In which case it's still dead. So if I go for a run over targeting diversion unit, it's just dead, period. I think I'll just do that right now while they're more tapped out. So they're less likely to have the mana up to like blow up my Transit Mage in response to this. Oh, they really got a 2 mana way to deal with it? Wow, alright, they do. Well, here's Defend the Rider. There's a Gibberick Omnivore. Alright, we pulled out that run over from our opponent, and now they're out of tricks. Just get to a winning board state off of Ketrodons alone. Save that Possession Engine for a rainy day. We are already ahead on board just playing the commons here. And then after all of that, I've got to stock up to dig for even more power. Sky Serpent Seeker, that's a very nice card, and they do have the 4 mana up to exhaust it, even if they didn't play a land this turn. So 2/2 Flying Death Touch, just an excellent 3-for-1, right? It hits the board, it trades into our biggest creature, and it gives them 2 more lands. It is a lot of mana, but it is very, very nice. Suppose I should probably just Possession Engine that. Although they've got solid blocks for my 6/6 regardless. They can block it with a 4/4 and a 2/3, and I only kill one of the 2 cards. Yeah, I'm kind of not getting attacks in either way, so I want to... I think I'm going to go for stock up Keen Buccaneer here. Stock up into stock up is pretty nasty. Maybe I should have actually just taken the land here. Because I think it's going to be a while before I want to just play a 3-mana mole. So just a land drop for turn would have been perfectly fine. Right, I'm going to start taking hits from the Sky Serpent Seeker. Because I'm not blocking with Ketrodon. Nimble Thopterist. Okay, I will block the Thopter token with Ketrodon. You got it. I don't know, maybe I'll play Pothole Mole this turn. Because I'm only going to have 4 mana left after this. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. So now I can drop the Mole and get the 1 mana for Compactor out of the way. And Compactor blows up the Seeker for only 3 mana, which means next turn I could cast Stab and blow up the Flying Death Touch. And it should be easy riding from there, unless they've got their own. Guidelight Pathmaker's a pretty good one. 6/5 Vigilance, pick up another artifact from their deck. We're late enough in the game they can pick up anything. That's fun. Pathmaker for Pathmaker. And just keep rolling with that is going to be nice. I doubt they have more than 2 copies. But even if they do, we have Sab. So I think we're doing great here. Alright, there's the concession from our opponent. Frog God from Amonkhet is a little too much. That was a pretty classic kind of Aetherdrift game there. It went pretty long, nice little board stall, and I think our deck is really favored in that kind of games with the stock ups to dig towards the bombs that will just auto win in those matchups. So, alright. Nasty, nasty work from our rare plays here. Our opponent has Run Over, Diversion Unit, Sundial. They look like full-on 3-color. It doesn't really look like they're splashing white or splashing blue. We saw triple white, triple blue. They're just like full Bant over there. They've got a 2-mana white drop, a 2-mana blue drop, 1 mana, 3 mana, 2 mana green cards. So just a full 3-color Bant deck. They have runovers to worry about. I think Bounce Off is pretty disgusting against runovers, so I wouldn't mind that addition here. We did only see 1 copy, so it might be a little bold to sideboard around that, but I think it works solidly against some of their other cards. Yeah, I mean, killing a token that Aetherdrift makes would be fine. Just slowing down the mana to work would be fine. I think Bounce Off should play pretty fine here. Ether Siphon might as well, because that game did go pretty long, but I'm already happy with how well our deck is going to play in the average long game. So I'm just going to look for a little more instant speed ways to maybe trip up and run over and get pretty far ahead off that. So a trip up and a bounce off are 2 ways to do so. Defend the Rider played perfectly fine, but we did only see like 1 removal spell, and all this does is counter removal. I guess technically it can make a block a little better too. But I almost feel like Bounce Up is going to do similar work to Defend the Rider, but also be more flexible. So I like that there. Then matchup might be slow enough to just not play Mangler, but it held off their 2/3s and 1/1s for a long time, so I really didn't mind it. Yeah, I'm just going to cut 1 Defend the Rider for 1 Bounce Off. I think that's fine. All right, here we are for game 2 with a very reasonable opening hand. We're obviously on the draw here since we won the first game. There's no like crazy bomb power, really explosive late game plays in this hand, but that is fine. All you really want in your opening hands, all you really need in your opening hands are the early game plays, and we have that. I would not mind Scurryfoot for Merfolk as a trade. Make sure they don't draw a million cards later in the game. So I'm attacking first because if I played Scrap Compactor first, they would know that I can just blow up the Merfolk next turn anyway. And then maybe be more inclined to take that trade. I am happier with the outcome of just getting 1 point of damage in than I would be with the outcome of trading. But either would be fine. I've already got 5 mana for any of my big bombs, so I think I'm actually stocking up here. I don't need to kill Merfolk. They can only draw 1 card off of it next turn at most. Okay, Tarion. Okay. I need another green source for that, awkwardly, but it's pretty good. You just play a Aetherdrift next turn? Sure. You know what? I actually still don't mind the trade. I was lying the whole time. Let's just trade. No, trade into a combat trick. Oh, I forgot about Howler's Heavy. Yeah, we could have played around that. It's game 2. It's game 2. Should have considered that. Completely forgot about that card because it was not super relevant last game. Tried to look through everything and remember it all, but what can you do? Alright, well, I actually think Sky Serpent Seeker is a scarier exhaust ability than them just drawing 2. I would rather them draw 2 than put 2 lands on board. Because it's early enough in the game, the lands are going to be valuable, the lands are going to be relevant. So I'm just going to blow up the Seeker and then threaten to blow up the Merfolk next turn. Okay, and our opponent's just going to hold up the Merfolk ability, so they can do that if I try to Scrap Compactor it. I gotta just Tarion. Okay, they're going to use Merfolk, get the draw 2. Again, because they had Seeker and Merfolk, either way they're getting a draw 2 there, but I think it's worse for me for the 2 cards drawn to go straight on the board and get them towards double spelling next turn. So I'm happy with the kill on Seeker. I think the only real misplay so far has been obviously the attack into the open double blue. I should pull open the notepad, start writing down opponent's cards. As long as we're playing best of 3. It doesn't do anything after it's exhausted, right? No, it's just a 2/2. This is crew 5. They do have the 5 power to crew that, but if they crew it, it's got 6 toughness against a... Or sorry, 6 power against a 7 toughness card, so it doesn't even matter. I don't know. I guess, I mean, their board is small enough. Possession Engine really does not change anything considerably. They already don't have good blocks. So I can just double mole, or I can go mole, hold up compactor. A lot of ways to run this out. That's a brutal mill. 0 lands. Another stock up and a run over. 2 really good draws. There we go, there's a land. That's concerning. Every cycling card that they activate now puts a 1/1 Thopter on the board. Only once per turn, but still quite threatening. So I've got a scrap compactor on board that I can use as a combat trick here to make sure that my attacks all go through perfectly well. They don't get any good double blocks here. I don't want to have to just, like, scrap compact a path cruiser that's blocking a pothole mole or something, so I think I'm still just only attacking with Tarion. I mean, there's nothing they can do about this thing with compactor on our board. Jump with the 3/2. You got it. Here's Thopterist. And I've still got my 3 mana. Shoot for 3 up. Bang Druid Summoner. Okay, pick up the Omnivore from Grave. Or if they haven't drawn the 3/3 yet, it's better to just pull that out. 2 mana 3/3 better than a 2 mana 3/2. They might have the 3/3 in their hand if that's the play they choose to make. Feels likely. Try to get some damage in here. Sure, we'll go down to 15. Those are not exciting draws. At this point I have to just slam Engine for more pressure. Not really getting to steal anything incredibly relevant, so I'll just steal what I can use to crew. Crew up the path cruiser, they say. Lose 1 Thopterist to deal another 4 here. Right, chump, eat. I go to 6 life. Could compact to the path cruiser, but they have to crew with 2 creatures to block with it, so it's not really adding to their creature count super well right now. I mean, I guess having 0 blockers up here is a little concerning, because they could chump only Molt Tender. Eat that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 14 damage? That's a little close. That's a little close. And it's kind of all or nothing with the additional attackers. If I just attack with 2 of them, I'm sacrificing a pothole mole to get 2 more damage in, and that's it. Okay. Show me that combat trick then. Like a run over or something? Yeah, I gotta go for it. If it's a run over, I get a 3 for 1 here. That's not bad. Or a 3 for 2. Yeah, it's basically the same, sure. Tarion is gone, but so is all the rest of that. Now we do get to really start attacking on the ground. Okay, pothole mole, that does clutter things up. And another path cruiser. Alright, they do have to tap 2 of their creatures and Fabricator to crew the path cruiser, or all 3 of their creatures. Okay. So tap a mole to crew a Fabricator to then crew the path cruiser with Fabricator and another 2-power creature. It's gonna lead to a really low number of blockers here. And I have the run over to blow up the path cruiser if they choose to crew it. They have no cards in their hand here, nothing to play around. We're jamming, we're vibing. We are vibing over here. Oh, they do have reach with the summoner. Think I do this. Yeah, because the summoner can just eat these two. But any other blocks they make, I can run over. So I do get to choose if I want to kill the Fabricator or the Path Cruiser here. Okay, I'm going to kill the Path Cruiser. Yeah, no, because we'd be giving them the Omnivore back. I probably should have done this pre-blocks. But I was still in my head uncertain with which one I wanted to kill. Probably should have been more obvious. A little bit of a sloppy game here. A little bit of flood, but we are in a good spot on board. You know, actually, I don't actually think we're in a good enough spot on board to attack all here. Because now they could just go Merfolk for Fabricator, block Possession Engine with a 4/4 and a 2/3, block my Thopterist with a 2/4, take 5 damage. They'd be at 3, but then they'd have the Omnivore back. I wouldn't have the Possession Engine anymore. I actually think I kind of don't have attacks here anymore. Because the double block on Possession Engine, and obviously just single block anywhere else if I don't attack with Possession Engine. Yeah, I actually don't have attacks. We gotta draw something. Spike Shell Harrier can pick up Omnivore, that's kind of gross. Yep, and now they can just block with Harrier and another card on Possession Engine. I have a lot of really good outs in this deck. Stock up Sab and the Mammoth, I think, would be the 3 best draws here. And lands would be the worst. Unfortunately, there are still a good number of lands in there. We're 10 lands deep. One of them cycles, though. We haven't drawn... Oh, we have drawn the cycling land. I lied. I think this is a good matchup, so I wouldn't mind going to game 3 here, but it would be nice to get it over with. So just a few rough draws these last few turns stacked up with our misplays or loose sequences early. I think just has us lose this top deck war, lose this board stall. Wow. Yeah, it really does. Oops. Just trying to spacebar through my turn. I'm practically dead to an all attack now. Now I'm literally dead to an all attack. Okay. Not with Ketradon. We are back to hanging out, staring at each other for a while. Never mind. They're back to being just as far ahead. I don't love the start of turn sound effect in this format. I thought it was like the really loud, like, keys being locked and unlocked sound effect back in Duskmorn, but I guess that's just a thing on Arena now. Just every time your turn starts, makes this really loud whoosh thing. I'll point it out when it happens again. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. That sound right there. All right. No, I should have crude engine. Yeah, I might have punted into them having immediate lethal here, but even if I had crude engine, block, 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 blow up, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I go to 1 life even if I crude engine here. All right, you got me. Game 3 it is. All right. That was enough minor misplays, though, that I think if we played that out perfectly, we probably win that game. But it is what it is. I can't undo that. Focus on trying to fix it in the future. So, main things to worry about, some of the biggest misplays, were crewing when our creatures get destroyed. Where's that thing? See, they hide it from me. This is probably what happened last game as well. They probably put it into exile. Because I remember specifically trying to look through all the graveyard and remember what to play around and not seeing a Howler's Heavy. It might have been in the graveyard after game 1 and I just forgot. But this thing, play around that. Do not run into combat with the open mana, because it's a really nice 2-for-1 combat trick if they find that position. How do I stop zooming in? There we go. Yeah, I think we're favored in this matchup. I think we've just got some bombier bombs and a lot more card selection. A little bit of a more consistent mana base being a pure 2-color deck instead. Yeah, I think this is less of an issue of trying to find the right cards to sideboard around. Like, I guess the Aether Siphon does look really good in this matchup at this point. Kind of less about that and more about playing a little better here. Although I guess the spatial interferences are nice, right? Countering any of these big vehicle threats, including the Thopter Fabricator as well. Yeah. You know, there are actually more sideboard options, and saw a little more of their deck, and I did like Defend the Rider in more positions. They've got Collision Course as well. Saw the run over again. Okay. Drop a couple Scrap Compactors for a couple interferences instead. Throw in a Defend the Rider and a Siphon. Cutting. Just some mediocre filler. Maybe Mangler since we're on the play. Then I guess I'm doing a 41 card special because I took too long. So we'll do that. Run it like this as we head into game 3. Again, I think we've got a really, really solid matchup here. Just got to tighten up our plays here and focus up here for the final battle. We do got to tighten up our draws as well. I don't think this is keepable. If I hit any land, I can cycle catch it on trying to hit the third land. But if I don't hit the third land quickly, this is an auto lose. Okay, this is much more consistent. We know we have 2 mana, and off of that 2 mana, I can then... I probably gotta get rid of Terry, and I have to hit perfect mana for that thing. Oh, I only have to return 1 card. I thought I mulled twice for some reason. Yeah, we're so fine. Yeah, I have to keep Catch It On, so if I don't hit lands, I can cycle that. And then go stock up into Thopter. I guess my turn 4 play is Thopter. I'm not going to have the green for Scurryfoot early. I've got stock up to hit double green. I'll keep Tarion over the mouse. Over the moose. Now we're both on a mulligan here. Land goes. The play to start us off. Defend the Rider is the draw. It's pretty bad here. 1 lander, they say. All right. We take those. Against the 1 lander, I'm just going to start pushing damage here. If I don't top deck the land naturally, I'll play stock up. If I do, I play Thopterus and keep the pressure on. Okay. Opponent hates their life. And that is fair. They had to mold a 6, and then first 2 draws are not lands for our opponents, so they are over it. That is going to be 2-1 for the first round, but sadly we lost game 2 and not game 1, so I still don't have that achievement yet. So we'll put in some more work towards it as we head into round number 2. Here we are for game 1 of round 2. This hand is insane. This hand can be anything I want it to be. We have 2 double Demonic Tutors in our hand. We have 4 Demonic Tutors. It's perfect. Our opponent is on a mulligan to 6 here. You are going to see a lot more mulligans in Best of 3 and in Paper Magic than you see in Best of 1, because Best of 1 does this weird thing where it technically draws you 2 hands before the game starts, and then it gives you whichever it thinks has a better land to non-land ratio. So it's like really unlikely to have like a 0 or 7 land hand in Best of 1, but that actually happens like a non-zero amount of the time in Best of 3. There's no cheating on the shuffler here. It's just going to give you whatever it gives you. Okay. I think I just pothole mull and pass. I don't really want to trade Lagak into Surveyor. But I also don't want to let them just raise their speed here. So I want to have the 2/3 blocker up. Rather than trading 2 damage for 2 damage. Veteran Beast Rider. That card is super gross, and part of what is so gross about it is it's a 3 mana 4 toughness card, so I can't even like scrap compact it. It just fights so far above its weight class. Their whole board basically has Vigilance. They've got that massive combat trick buffing the whole board. Yep. Gross card is gross. Let's see what stock up finds us here. There's a Terry, and I've got the mana for that. And Scurryfoot as well is obviously going to be better than the Defender. It's actually just better to play Scurryfoot first, I think. for immediate blocks. The worst case scenario is that they spend a removal spell on Scurryfoot, in which case we pulled out a removal spell in their hand with our 1-drop. It's part of what is so awesome about the Scurryfoot. It's a 3/3 plus a 2/2, which is a 2 for 1, or they spend removal to kill it before you can do that, in which case you spent 1 mana to get rid of what is often a 3 mana plus removal spell. Unless they're playing black and they just bobble it, and then you're like, ah. Okay. I think I'm just going to clutter things up here for now. And try to draw the interaction out from our opponent before we slam down the 9/7 no text. If this is like the last card we cast when we get into a top deck war, this should eviscerate their board state. But if we cast it before they've cast a single removal spell, then the odds of our opponent... that's a 3/3 first striker, even if they have no combat tricks in their hand. There's no Death Touch trick in that color pair in this format, so I'm going to go triple block. If they don't have the combat trick, they kill one of our creatures. I guess they might have like that +4/+4? Okay, they don't. They're just going to Beast Rider or something. Cool. I did lose a Scurryfoot that technically I wouldn't have had to if I just blocked with a 2/3 and a 3/3. But then they could have activated Beast Rider and killed a 3/3 instead. They just wouldn't have played these other creatures this turn, which is fine. Two-3 on a 2/2, 3/3 on a 2/5. Or I guess 2/1 on the 2/5, 3/3 on there. We can go trade, trade, trade. If I just blow up Beast Rider, their board is gone. I'm going to do it. If they untap and slam down something really scary, I can stock up into removal. I think the stock up in hand is what makes this play really safe to do. If it weren't for the stock up, we would have to be worried about what happens if they just slam down another bomb after Beast Rider. Because technically, I could try to maneuver the board in my favor against the Beast Rider. I feel like this attack means a combat trick to eat the elephant here. Or eat the pothole here. Based on how they attacked last turn, maybe it's just like a +1/+1 trick where I just do this. Either way, if they have a trick, I lose both. I guess I just do this thing. Okay, it is +1, basically. Sure. Buccaneer and stock up. 7 mana, I can't do that and activate Buccaneer. Hello, Sab. Cool. So now I can eat their Leonin Surveyor with a Defend the Rider. They don't have instant speed removal. They're green-white. They could have a run over here. I think run over would be bad enough for me to just not block here. Arena doesn't seem to be holding for them, but they're still a good ways away from maximum speed, and they're not in a color pair that can drain me for a life or ping me for a life without attacking in. Okay, Sab should be already basically impossible for them to deal with, but I've got that Defend the Rider if they can. And then I'm just going to drop a Therian and still have Defend the Rider. I'm going to turn the SFX down a little bit. Okay, they're over it. Okay, green-white good stuff. Green-white start your engines. Just aggressive little green-white deck. It's got some combat tricks. Play around a Silken Strength is all we really saw. We saw that, a bunch of fine creatures. And then I was gonna say Flood, but I guess it's just that they mulliganed and then... I mean, they stopped playing lands. They didn't flood. They just didn't hit any removal or anything. Okay. I mean, they've got a lot of 2-mana creatures, so they are curving out and trying to get their max speed up. I don't mind the bounce off here. I do think that the Spectral Interference is going to be really bad. Putting this in our deck on the draw against a deck with a bunch of 2-drops, it's like we're not going to have the mana up for this by the time they've already spit out a bunch of stuff on board. So I'd rather have the bounce off the Ether Siphon as well. I don't think this is the match for it. This game did not end in a board stall whatsoever. Ended somewhat quickly. So I like bounce off, maybe trip up. But I'm just going to bounce off over Scrap Compactor. Again, because this is pretty expensive even as the 3-mana ability. That seems super fine to me. Here we are now for game number 2. This feels like a risky keep against their deck on the draw, because we know that they have tons of 2-drops. They're trying to raise their max speed, and we're not going to do anything till turn 4 with this hand, so I'm going to take the mulligan on this one. Okay, this is pretty much the same hand. We're not going to do anything till turn 4 because we're going to stock up into our good plays, but since we have the 2-for-1 stock up in hand, that is going to mean that this plays out basically the equivalent of our other hand here. So it's not really worse, but it's basically the same hand, and I can't afford to mulligan again now, so it is tragic. They do start with turn 1 District Mascot, so I'm really happy I mulliganed. Although they didn't go 1-drop, 2-drop, which is what I was going to be really worried about. If they can play a 1-mana 1/1 to saddle this with, they could play that, saddle, attack, and blow up Scrap Compactor, but that seems so unlikely. I think I should just get the Compactor down now, so that next turn I know I can activate it and blow up the Mascot. Regal Imperiosaur. Okay, I can't blow that up. Now I have to blow up Mascot, because if I don't, Mascot can blow up the Scrap Compactor anyway. So might as well get some power off the board. Every draw has been a land so far. That is not what we're looking for. But our opponent's on mono green, so they could be stuck off of some other plays for now. There is the white source, but it comes in tapped. They got Bert and Ernie over there. And I'm literally just dead on board because they have 2 Imperiosaurs to play as 3-mana 6/5s. And I've drawn literally nothing but lands. That's a 2-mana play. That's too expensive to play against the Imperiosaur. Game 3 it is. All right, looks like the key to this matchup is not to be on the draw, and we'll be on the play for game 3, so let's just get right back in there. Wonderful opening hand. Technically, all I'm doing early is scrap compacting, but they have more than enough cheap plays that we know we'll be blowing something up on turn 3 with scrap compactor, so we do have that as our early game play, and the Sab is a very guaranteed victory in the late game. Our best draws would definitely be some creatures here to play earlier in the curve. But if we flood out a little like last game, because we have such a powerful top end, if they don't have an equally explosive opening hand here, as they did last time, we should still be in a good position. Okay, they've got the Surveyor. We will compactor that, prevent as much damage as we can here. Buy us some time. Stock up guarantees we will have land 5 on turn 5. Gibberic Omnivore, they do not have their 3-mana 5/4s, and that is a great sign for me. Okay, I've got all the lands I need for Sab, so let's grab the removal spell and the Buccaneer. Run out the compactor now to make it cheaper in the future. I'm not just going to make a 1/1. If they had a 3/1 on board instead of a 3/2, I would absolutely do that and trade. I kind of forgot about that whole flexibility in our earlier matchup of making a pilot instant speed. It's possible we had opportunities where that would have been really powerful in an earlier game. You know, all they have right now is a 3/2. I kind of want to wait to play Sab till I have the Hexproof trick up, because they're in white. They could have exile removal for Sab. So let's play around that, shall we? Wouldn't have been the worst to just play Lagak and hold up the 3 mana. We could use that 3 mana on Compactor, or run over, or defend the Rider, or just a multitude of things. Okay, we know they have good combat tricks here, so I'm not going to put Buccaneer there, but I don't mind trading the Death Toucher off. They don't have like a ton of beef, and the beef that they do have, I can just scrap Impact. Alright, I can sab and hold up defend the Rider here, so I'm doing that. They can't attack into this. Any exile removal should be expensive enough that they can't cast 2 of them in 1 turn. The main one at common is 5 mana. 5 mana exile target creature. They can exile a tapped creature for 2 mana, but obviously Sab is not tapped. Okay, get the draw 2. The runovers kill literally anything right now because of how big Sab is. Sure. Indestructible Jaguar. Fine by me. Let them get a 4 damage hit in with that. Could have also just waited and then done run over this turn as well. Yeah, I guess because they could saddle it off of any creature. Probably would be better to run over because it's 6 damage instead of 4. 4 doesn't matter too much, but 6 is kind of concerning. 2 more hits of 6 and I'm dead. Kill the Jaguar now, have defend the Rider up. I've got a 2/3 on the 2/5. And a 3/3 on the 2/5. Okay. Luckily, the deck that we've drafted is really powerful because I don't think the plays that we're making are super good today, but deck is carrying us and we are 4-2, 2-0 heading into round number 3. If we win this final round, there are massive prizes in traditional draft, so that would be super, super sweet. It's a pretty top-heavy prize out. We are locked in for 1,000 gems and 3 extra packs, which is obviously less than breaking even, so not the greatest, but decent prize out, especially compared to just a 1 win, only 250 gems in 1 pack. So we're locked in for decent prizes. But if you 3-0 a traditional draft, you get insane prize out. Look at all that. 2,500 gems, 6 packs, 2 play-in points. Fingers crossed here. We got a final battle with some huge prizes on the line. All right, here we are for round number 3. All the prizes on the line here. I am definitely keeping this hand. There is a slight bit of risk to it, but nothing worth a mulligan. We have both of our colors, 1 land of each. We have a 2-drop to defend us with the Midnight Mangler, and if I hit just a single land, I have multiple ways to help hit the next land. The Pothommel digs 3 cards deep for it, the Buccaneer exhausts to draw a card towards it, and I can cycle the Ketrodon in a pinch. So I think this hand is a really solid defensive opener, which is what we need on the draw. Our opponent is a green-black deck here. They got Lagak into Pothommel. Solid start for them, but I've got solid blocks against that start. Well, I guess the Lagak gets saddled up, so I mean, not like literal blocks right now, but enough that I don't feel massively pressured currently. Okay, so turn 4, because run over targets vehicles for just 1 mana, I get to play one of my 3-drops and a run over. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Just take another 2 damage from Lagak. Fang Druid Summoner. This could be either a little sketchy or super bad for us. It depends on if they have the 9/7 or not. If they have anything other than the 9/7, we're fine. Okay, yeah. That's a little sketchy. I mean, it's a 2-for-1. They got a 2/4 and a 3/2. But it could have been way worse. Could have been way, way worse. Okay, our opponent is casting their stuff main phase 1. Like, they cast Summoner main phase 1 without, like, a huge reason to do so. So I think we should be able to tell pretty easily in this matchup whether or not they have an instant speed removal spell this coming turn to counter our run over. Right, because if they have stuff to cast, judging by how they played last turn, they might just run it out immediately. If they don't do that, we got to be a little concerned. And just wait to run over till the end step when they're fully tapped out. Saddle. All right, so they're going to wait till main phase 2 to do anything here, which means doesn't necessarily mean anything. They could have just gotten lazy last turn, but it does make it way more likely they have something here. Which I guess I can't actually run over the Lagak during the end step because then it has the saddle power, but I just can't afford to try to run over the Lagak and then have them have the reverse run over and 2-for-1 me, blowing up my run over and my creature at the cost of 1 card. Okay. So instead, do I run over somebody else here? I can run over a 3/2 or a 2/3. I don't think I do. I mean, I know I'm going to tap out for Possession Engine next turn. So this is like my last opportunity to run over. Because I'm tapping out for Engine next turn, tapping out for Ketron on the turn after that. It's going to be a while before I run over again. But I'm also only taking 2 a turn. I've got a lot of time. And I've got double Ketron. I have infinite time, actually. They've got 2 cards in hand here. Saddle the Gak. We go to 12. Greenbelt Guardian. That can turn itself into a 5/5. Stock up. I don't mind that to give me the chance to run over something here and actually have that mana open. Ooh, run over 2 things? Yeah, Transmage does... I mean, it's a 2/2, but it doesn't search for anything at this point. We already played the Possession Engine. Okay. Run over plus Keen Buccaneer or run over here. Could try to go for like a Possession Engine attack and then run over for some tricks. But I'm down to 12. I want to threaten some really beefy blocks and just get them to only attack with Lagak again. If they have removal in hand, I think their best play is just blow up Engine, get Omnivore back, and saddle Lagak with Omnivore because it's summoning sick anyway. But I guess it does still block. Yeah, I guess we have no way of knowing for sure. I mean, if they have the removal in hand here, it's not that bad if they use it on Midnight Mangler. That keeps them from using it on Possession Engine, even if it does 2-for-1 us. Wow, yeah, that's really fine. We got them to run over a Mangler instead. Okay. I'm gonna have to spend another run over to kill a Lagak anyway, so I might as well keep the Mangler on board. Do we both have double run over? That interaction would technically be bad for me, but it would be so funny, I don't mind. Plus, you know, if their hand's completely empty, then we know we're going to win from there, regardless. Okay. They don't have double run over, but they did have double removal in hand. I'm surprised the spin out in hand. Maybe that was the top deck this turn. I imagine if they had that earlier, they would have killed Possession Engine by now. Just like the turn we played it. Alright, well, now they're out of cards, they're out of removal, and we play Insane Beef. You know, the rough part about this, we are quite a bit ahead here. We'll still be possible to lose, but very unlikely with Sab. The rough part about this is we're winning game one. And winning game one would mean there's no chance of getting the achievement again. We'll see how this plays out. But they're playing off the top. I now have an indestructible blocker for their Death Toucher. I also drew into the removal for the Death Toucher anyway, so even if they top deck something that exiles Sab, they hit me for 2 one more time. I compact the Lagak, and then, again, multiple 6/6s that gain 4 just get me ahead on board. Feels like we're very ahead in tons of aspects this game. I wonder if there's a button to no attack where I don't have to physically pick up the mouse again. Because I'm so used to just spamming through spacebar when I don't want to do stuff. But then in order to not attack, I have to then literally click. I can't just spacebar again. You know, if anybody knows the hotkey for that, let me know. That is useful. Okay. Not horrific. Pretend I have the hexproof trick. And we've got a lot of expensive stuff to do, so honestly, the lands aren't useless here. Like, spells might be a little better, but I'm still... Until I have already cast both Ketradons, I'm not really worried about follow-up plays. So we got time to hit some more gas and a Buccaneer to activate towards it. You got me for 2, I'm down to 12. Venom Sack Lagak, absolute MVP. Land off the top for our opponent, defend the Rider. Now, again, never say never, but now I think we're never losing this game. They're down to 12. Honestly, I'm not even sure if green-black has removal that can deal with Sab. Scurryfoot. More chumpers. I don't quite have the mana to do the 6 mana ability and still play Lagak and defend the Rider. I mean, I might, but not the mana to like do that and hold up Night Market too. Can't do literally everything else and do that. Alright, opponent is just top deck and lands. Massive attack next turn, so they scoop them up and we start the final game off 1-0. My apologies, this draft has been a little bit kind of dull as it comes to the gameplay. I've not been playing super duper well. It's just come down to almost every game just here's a frog god, oops, I win. But I still think the drafting process itself went pretty solidly. I mean, we did pack one, pick one, a sab, and hold to that. So this was such a simple, such a basic draft, but it is what it is. You do what you got to do to win, and this was a really reasonable way to be winning things. So let's not get too cocky here and see if there is anything to sideboard. Again, I do really like instant speed bounce interaction against a run over to completely counter the run over and slow our opponent down, forcing a recast from them. So I do think the Unsummon will be really nice in this matchup. We saw spin out as well, so I'm not really cutting the hexproof trick here. If we have anything that's really good against the Venom Sac Lagak, that would be nice, because that was the sketchiest thing that we were dealing with there. Okay, there they are. Bounce off, definitely join us. Come on in. Not a crazy interference matchup. Fine Siphon matchup. Honestly, probably a fine Siphon matchup. Trip up. Isn't like insanely good on any of those cards, but it's fine. Guess it's good at like if they reanimate something really big with Broodheart Engine. Tossing it back up before they have the mana for it. Broken Wings could be okay. No, we just saw one artifact. Yeah, no, it's not that really. It's really just bounce off. And since we are on the draw, we could cut a land. We're slightly more likely to hit more lands on average when we draw a card immediately turn one. But I think this deck is really happy with a full 17, so I'd rather cut something else. I can. Don't want to cut Mangler on the draw. I'll go bounce off over Scrap Compactor again. That seems to be the consistent thing. Just leave the exact same amount of interaction, but this is a more efficient way to mess with their run over. We'll see. All right, here we are for game 2. Force Mull on that one, and a no lander, and we'll keep the 6. Probably playing the Mull turn 3, so I get to play a blocker and work up the mana curve at the same time. There's a bounce off. That's a good draw. It's a great draw to have some early interaction in this hand on the defensive. Sorry, I got distracted there because they just announced the 4 Final Fantasy Commander decks and I'm losing my mind. I mean, I already could have probably gathered that they were going to do decks based on 4 different games, but still. I'm just going to bounce that immediately to slow them down. This hand is pretty slow. I don't want to just sit here getting absolutely slammed right now. Oh, I guess I had to defend the Rider. If they didn't saddle up Lagak. No! I'm dumb. I forgot about the bonus text on that, but I'm so excited about these Final Fantasy Commander decks. There's a deck for 7, 14, 10, and 6. And that's all I'm going to say. Because I have already been playing really loose and not hyper-focused on the game. So let's try to focus back up on that and not Final Fantasy Magic cards. I can nerd out when they actually come out. I will be playing so much, and God, do I hope they put that stuff on Arena. I'm going to stock up here. I kind of like the idea of having an empty board and going for a Defend the Rider when they don't saddle a Gak, just because of how much that managed to push through last game. And our opponent is stuck on the 2 mana here, so I don't expect things to get way out of hand anytime soon. Yeah, that's not even a creature. Sure, now even if they play another creature, there's no onboard reason to saddle up the Lagak, so they'll probably hold it up, because why wouldn't you? And then we'll just blow up Lagak with Defend the Rider. I mean, I guess conversely, there's no reason not to saddle the Lagak. It's not like my green-blue deck is going to have a haste creature. But honestly, this early in the format, I don't know the format well enough to not saddle. Or to saddle at this point. I would just be like, there's no point. There might be some reason to want the untapped thing here. That would be like a really specific line. I'm going to Pothole first. If we hit a forest, we get to double spell this turn. Perfect. Oh, Sab, goodbye. It happens. It happens. It's surprising it hasn't happened yet, so I'll take it. There's that Fang Druid Summoner again. We know from last game they just have the 2 mana 3/2, so that's fine. Now they get to be on the receiving end of Lagak. I'm sure you probably noticed from the face cam, but I said I was going to focus up and then I immediately started looking at the... Just minimize the tab. Stop looking over there. With an active Broodheart engine, we are likely waiting on Possession Engine for a long time here. Steal whatever beef gets reanimated, unless Possession Engine puts us in a position where our attacks are significantly better. It doesn't really change our attacks at all right now. Okay, now it kind of does if I steal Summoner, but... Okay, no, it doesn't change at all. We just attack with everybody. Cool. No! Oh, it's a fight. We actually kill each other, because we dealt damage with the Death Touch. That was actually pretty nice for me. I'll take it. Oh, that's a good land to hit. That is literally the best Pothole could have done. It milled 3 lands, one of which immediately lets me draw a card. That is as anti-flood as the Pothole can possibly get. Thank you, Mole. Mutant Surveyor, Venom Sac Lagak. Stock up. I can engine the Surveyor. That can crew. Oh no, I can't activate its ability. I can't buff it to crew. Oh no, I can. I can. It just can't attack or block. Yeah, so I could buff it and then activate Possession Engine with it, but we top decked to stock up, so I can just do that. Tarian. I already have the engine, so Transit Mage can get shoved on the bottom here. Sure, we'll go Scurryfoot. Take a 3/3 and a 2/2 over a 3/2 and a 1/1 flyer. Surveyor is like moderately bad for me. So I could Possession Engine it, but it cannot get big enough to attack through this board state. Our board is massive. I started looking at cards again. I shouldn't have been. Okay, Omnivore got played. That was it. Cast a Gibberick Omnivore. So we can scrap compact this Lagak to get Tarian in as our main threat. Actually, don't mind going Possession Engine first and actually going ahead and just getting the Surveyor out of the way. We still have not seen what their beef possibly is to reanimate. So, just gonna steal Surveyor and get insta-pokes in. No, unless they've got the, yeah, spin out, that works. Sure. Okay. Surveyor takes a bunch of mana to get buffed up, so wouldn't be the worst to hit Lagak right now, but I'll go Buccaneer here. I do not mind if they poke me for 2. I don't need to kill Lagak immediately. Compactor can always kill it later. Imperiosaur, just a 5/4. Just fine on the board. I'm down to 13 cards. I'm going to see my whole deck off of this stock up. Another Catrodon and a Runover for sure. We know they have a Runover in their deck as well, and they haven't drawn it. What? Oh, stock up isn't a random order? In any order. Oh my god. I'm going to be drafting enough like 3 stock up decks that I'm going to have to start ordering these manually. That's going to be really annoying. So we can see exactly what we're drawing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12 lands down, so there's 5 left in the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're all revealed. We're drawing a non-land next turn. I don't remember what it is. Okay, I'm not under pressure here. Let's just pass. My argument for this is that we know that one of their removal spells is a run over, right? So they could just run over with the Venom Sac Lagak, Death Touch, kill the Terrian. They can't do that if I have my own instant speed removal up to cast in response to their run over. Or if I just kill the Venom Sac Lagak with Scrap Compactor or something. Speed 2. Earth Rumbler. Okay, that's basically a 7/6 Vigilance Trample this late. Scary. So... Oh, it's another run over. Okay. I could have technically done the math and figured that out, but it would have taken a long time, so happy to have not. So we'll just cast this, hold up the run over to protect it. Land coming up, so I'm happy to Buccaneer one of those and then play the other one. Aetherdrift do be Aetherdrift, and we're, I think, pretty likely to win this game, but it is another board stall game, so we'll win it in like 10 minutes, probably. I'll try to focus up on the game and get it closed out as quick as I can. Gravestalker's good. Okay. They kill 2 of our creatures. Let's get Brewheart back the Earth Rumbler here, and then the Broodheart's gone. They still have 1 green mana up, which is enough for run over if they target Venom Sac Lagak. So I don't want to tap out of mine. Okay. Calaxian doesn't really matter. I guess Calaxian's big enough to trade Natarian. So I'd ideally run it over. They're at 16. I can blow up 3 creatures here. I'm just making sure they have no way to buff this Calaxian. They don't. That's pretty beautiful. Okay. I don't need to blow up Lagak pre-draw. If they draw the shoot thing, then I just shoot the Lagak with Scrap Compactor in response. I will blow it up pre-combat on our next turn. Boom. Get Tarian in. Scrap Compactor ruins all of their blocks. Okay. Nom 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 nom. I do mill out before them. Biggest issue here. What are we drawing into? Transit Mage Thopters. We might actually mill out. I hate to say. This is a 3/4. We're pretty even on time, luckily. Calaxian on Terrarian, buff Surveyor, put Surveyor in front of a 3/3. Wow, yeah, we don't even get to really push damage here. Okay, I'm just going to drain their clock at this point. I actually do think we just mill out from the Broodheart engine. Because now you can just reanimate the 7/2 to block the Ketrodon. I got a lot of really favorable trades there, but they managed to like mill every and into everything here so that they don't just top deck lands. All the Surveil just to set up the draws here. Kept them in it for a long time. Okay. Yeah, I'm just speeding through here. Running down the clock. They've got a 2/4 and a 3/4. We're not breaking through that. That's tragic. I was confident we were going to break through with all those removal spells. Alright, we're ahead. We're ahead. On time. We have spent less time thinking than them at this point. Or alternatively, we've spent less time reading the new Final Fantasy cards than them. They might have them open in another tab too. You never know. Doesn't search graveyard, does it? Nope. I could shuffle if I want. I do not want to shuffle. $13.27, $12.41. Yeah, we're getting a hearty lead on time if I just go play pass, play pass, play pass. Probably won't matter, but if game 3 is also a board stall until somebody mills out, full Aetherdrift style, then it could matter. Because then we'd have to be worried about timing out before we mill out. And if they have a lower clock than us, then we don't have to worry about time. Because they'd be the first to mill out anyway. Alright, opponent is also preserving their clock at this point. The Fang Druid Summoners have reach, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't notice. We already know that we're definitely losing this game, so I'm not thinking particularly hard about the board state. I'm just kind of going through the motions here. I was like, I guess we might as well chip in with the flyer, right? Okay. Game 3. They've got 11 minutes on the clock, so we don't have to worry about milling out. We just got to worry about beating them. Or we don't have to worry about timing out. We just have to worry about beating them. I like the swaps we did for the deck. I wouldn't mind another scrap compactor. Just run all of them. Yeah, we're on the play now. We can cut a mangler for scrap compactor here. All right, on the play for game number 3 of the final round. This has been as many games as you can play in a best of 3 draft. In a traditional draft, we had to go to game 3 in all of these rounds. This has no proactive plays, but the reactive ones are pretty powerful, specifically Bounce Off and Scrap Compactor. Not taking the mulligan here. We've seen how awkward best 3 hands can get. And I don't think their deck is super fast, so I think we should be fine to just hang out for a little bit. Pothole Mole is a solid draw. If that were in the opening hand, it would have been a snap keep. Get the second green towards if we hit the 9/7 thingamabob. I don't believe I don't believe we saw any cards in their entire deck that could deal with Sab. So if we just don't mill Sab, we should probably win. It's possible that I should have actually cut cut the Pothole Moles for something else. Just so there's no chance we randomly put Sab in our grave. Like put the Ether Siphon in here. Oh, I don't think I put the Ether Siphon in yet. Yeah, that would have been solid in this matchup. Yeah, cut a Pothole Mole for an Ether Siphon and another one for something else would probably have been best. But as I've said a lot here, I hate to inform you, I'm kind of just going through the motions so that I can just gush over Final Fantasy cards for the rest of the day. Because I haven't gotten like a full, really good idea of the cards just yet. Got something for 1 mana in their hand. Potentially. Let's just get in there this time. Although I do prefer having a run over open than hitting for 1 more damage with Buccaneer. Considering they have the Lagak and it can counter their own run over if they have that. Okay, Summoner it's gonna be. Say hello to Calaxian, I guess. Yep. Fang Druid Summoner, I think, has shown up for our opponents in all 3 rounds? At least 2 of these rounds. Another stock up, that's a strong card. Double stock up should be really likely to find Sab. There's the Transmage and the Possession Engine. You know, what's really cool here, what I do need to do, gameplay. I don't have it set to like auto order these cards. I guess, so I have to go full control mode to order these myself? Okay, I'm in full control mode now. Okay, so put Possession Engine on the bottom and I can just pick it up with Transmage anyway. I don't think Omnivore's that good. It's pretty important to just keep hitting my land drops though. I don't mind not picking up Omnivore here. Okay. So yeah, in this format, we should full control mode every time we cast stock up, because we've seen how long these games can go. We can get to the end game where by putting all the lands on the bottom, we have a better chance of getting our gas first. I guess technically I should do this, but I'm tutoring for Possession Engine, so I'm just going to put it on the bottom. Okay. If they block, I'm going to run over and get damage in the future. Well, am I? No. No, Transmage into vehicle is insane. We'll do that. Oh, we get to steal Calaxian. Venom Sac Lagak is back to attack our face. They got the hexproof trick? No. Lagak way worse on blocks, just a 1-for-1 trade, and that is super fine. They're down to 13. Plow through to destroy Possession Engine and get Calaxian back. We'll tap their blocker then. Pass turn. I don't want to be the first to blink in the run over versus run over shenanigans. So I don't want to cast run over in the end step and then have them cast their own in response. Ooh. We've not seen them cast that once yet. It's kind of bad for me here. I can't do anything about that with my run over against Fang Druid Summoner. It's just too big. I can only do 3. Yeah, rough, that's really nice. Yeah, you got it. Greenbelt Guardian, essentially a 5/5. They have to exhaust it right now while I'm tapped out, though. Saddle up Lagak. Send in these two. Trample over a little bit. Still at 20s, this is fine. Life totals are even. Their board's a little bit ahead, but Tarion and Ketcherdon in hand both make our board a little bit ahead. I don't have the mana to run over and scrap Compactor after Tarion, which is rough. Okay, they have the spin out anyway. Which does mean it dies even if I had the response. I'm gonna compact the Greenbelt Guardian while they can't exhaust it then. Did I forget to full control my second? Forgot to full control my second stock up after all I was talking about with that. And I put land, and then the non-land at the very bottom. It's embarrassing. Unless they're playing this whole game in full control mode, their last card in hand is likely a run over that we counter with our own run over. And this is why I was so hesitant to do mine. It's because when you can reverse it, it plays so far in your favor. Now I'm way ahead on board in this top deck war. They could trade their 3/2 and 2/4 into Ketcherdon off a triple block. Oh, they have 2 Foul Roads? I didn't realize they had 2 of those. They still just trade the 3/2 and 2/4, so our attack is still good. Gibberic Omnivore is their first draw. Ketcherdon is our second draw, and I'm feeling really good right now off of that one. Chum block it is. Here's the second. District Mascot, not too good at this point. There's an Omnivore. Go for a kill on 1. Nope, unblock, go to 1. Sure. Pass turn, 4 creatures against 3. We can attack all for lethal because they top decked a land. And that is 3-0, a full... I was going to say a full sweep, but we lost a game in every single round because I've been playing really loose today. But our deck was completely absurd and just carried us to a full 3-0 run for maximum insane prize out, 2,500 gems, 6 packs, and 2 play-in points. Another look at the deck, but it was a really self-explanatory one here. We just got incredible Sab Rare and won almost every game off of that. Although... there were games like the very last game of Magic that we played that we won without them. We've got like the Ketcherdons at the top end as well, the Tarion, the Possession Engine that we've used as other win conditions. The stock up is really the card of the deck here. being able to dig so far for what you need. We use this to find lands on occasion. We use this to find removal frequently. We use this to dig towards the bomb often. All the different things this card can do are so good. Stock Up is a deceptively good card. It's really easy to overlook it early in the format, and I'm absolutely certain that I did as well, but it only takes a couple times of playing with it to realize how great that card selection is. So Stock Up is a really high pick for me in this format. It's also just a single blue mana. I mean, it's 3 mana total. It's a blue and 2, but it's not like double blue or triple blue where it's a super restrictive mana cost. So it's quite easy to cast too. It's just a really great card to take early in the draft all around. I am a massive fan of Stock Up, and that really is the card of the deck here. But other things that were worth noting that were really good, as mediocre of a removal spell as Scrap Compactor is, it was still really important to have access to a ton of interaction and removal in this format, because so many games come down to board stalls, as we can see throughout this entire draft. So the 3 Scrap Compactors were also quite big overperformers, and I did enjoy the Ether Siphon and Bounce Off sideboard options, as well as the Spatial Interference did look particularly good in that one matchup where our opponent had a bunch of really good vehicles, but we never drew that anyway. I never drew the Ether Siphon the 1 or 2 times that I cited it in either, but I think it actually would have been perfectly fine even in the main deck with how slow the majority of these games all went. Probably not round 2. Round 2 against that green-white deck, this may be not the fastest card, not the sweetest card, but our other 2 matchups soaked up the majority of this draft time, the majority of the games, and those great board stall options were helpful. So yeah, really nice stuff in the deck overall. Lots of overperformers and just incredible mythic bombs we knew we were going to just auto win with. So again, some loose play, but a really strong deck carries us to a full 3-win run, or 3-round run for maximum prize out here, which is super sweet. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send us more in the recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.